Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. We have a packed day of racing ahead of us with, I think, 8 meetings in England, one in Ireland, and a fairly significant one over in America in Chicago. More specifically, Arlington, who hold their Arlington Million card, including the Beverly D, and we have a few Euro raiders, including Magician, Euro Charlene, and Just the Judge. We're talking about that a bit later, but first, the Channel 4 action. And we have a packed house this week. We've had a few people sort of not turn up the last few weeks, Callum and Michael. Saying no names. Michael is actually underground today. We can't really hear him too well. Say hello, Michael.
Hello. That actually
Better?
worked.
It's
That's
getting
better.
better. I have to
That's
say,
better.
it's getting better.
Maybe he has to speak in a high-pitched voice throughout the whole thing, but
He does that anyway.
yeah, true.
He's still 12, so. I'm also joined by Adam Webb, who is always here. We don't need any introductions of Adam. Medell, who is on the end, who has been on a about 10-week hiatus, I think, from On the Other Hoof.
What's that?
What were the naps last week, Adam?
I don't remember. Oh, Satellite, and it didn't win. Don't remember the other two. I think Chris's didn't run, or the substitute didn't win, and yours, I don't remember.
Astle.
Hassel, that was it. Well, it didn't win. There we go.
The first race this week, I'll be impressed if we manage to get the winner of this nursery first up, the 150 at Newmarket. Adam has begged me not to go to him first for this race. So, Adam, if you'd like to start us off here.
I hate you. This is just nursery handicaps are just something that I don't get along with very well, and I don't particularly like them. Personal preference. The one I'm gonna side with, and it is a tentative selection. I'm gonna go for the top one, Homecomings, who won at Red Car last time out, and the time before was second at York behind Mr. Universe. I just think that the ground will be in his favour, and Jack Garrity taking 5 off for Richard Fahey, he'd be the one for me in this race, but it's not a confident selection at all.
I don't think any of your selections are particularly confident, are they?
Some of them are, but then they just lose, and it's just.
After the race, they're not
The Eclipse video springs to mind where I said I think something along the lines of I'm really confident about tomorrow, and I don't think I had a winner. So it's.
Oh, well. As well as Michael's sound, we have to apologise. I have to apologise for my lighting. I don't know. We have paid the electricity, so there is something in that. But there's also something that I forget to do at the start of every single video, and Adam hates it when I do it. So I'll do it now. If you've got any questions or fancies, please send them in to us at LukeElder13 or any of the other three on this panel, and we'll read them out at the end of the show. So just tweet in your fancies
You're
and
getting
selections
better.
for.
You are getting better at it. Well done.
I'm getting earlier in the video, but yeah, we'd love to hear your selections, questions, fancies about tomorrow, how far Euro Charlene's going to win the Beverly D by, whatever. Michael, if you'd like to shout us how or what you fancy in this race.
Just going back on what you said, you managed to mention pretty much all the meetings apart from a very important meeting going on at Deauville, which is interesting. We've got plenty of people going over there as well. And obviously you can't forget Kenilworth and Kilfontein as well. At Newmarket, this is not my kind of race whatsoever, so I'll be pretty short and sweet. I think Sleepy Dust could be interesting. Interested to see what Rip Van Winkle does with I think it's his first crop this year. And also, Yard don't normally get first time out winners. This one could be a bit above average. This one hasn't worked out really, really well, but I don't know if you can hear me whatsoever, but I'm just going to keep on talking. But obviously, there's a horse in here that will definitely be in the North American team later on.
It sounds like you're underwater. Slightly anyway. But you mentioned Rip Van Winkle. You went for Sleepy Dust. But you mentioned Rip Van Winkle. He's Dick Whittington, isn't he? I believe Dick Whittington.
Yeah, it could be.
I think so. Yeah, I think I'm right in saying that. Anyway, but yeah, you're very quiet. But we just about got the gist of what you said. No doubt we'll get a few tweets about that later on in the show. Callum, your fancy for the first at Newmarket?
Yeah, so a good little race. Soft ground, obviously. Newmarket have had a lot of rain lately, so I wouldn't particularly be going really strong in any racing at Newmarket tomorrow because the ground could be quite tacky. There's a couple of horses that have come into this and been running in similar races or in the same races. The Doncaster Maiden that Adelasia won has seen Astrel who finished second and Masuba who finished fifth. But Masuba was running, that was her debut. The other two had experience, and Masuba came from much further back in the field because they went very slow. Then the front three just kicked on and weren't for catching, whereas Masuba travelled the best and then went and won quite nicely in another slowly run race over course and distance last time. That was on firm ground, but I think she'll be fine on the softer ground. I don't see any reason in her pedigree why she won't be. And off 77, I think she's got a great chance, because I think that doesn't prove a mark that shows her ability so far. And I think she's as good, if not better, than Adelasia, and she gets £5 from her. And Homecomings as well, who's a horse I quite like, but again beat a pretty solid but unspectacular yardstick last time, and the handicap has really given a no chance of 85. I think that's a really harsh mark to start with. So I think Masuba, I'm quite sweet on Masuba.
Yeah, I had a quick look at Masuba actually. I don't like this race whatsoever, but there's one that I'm going to put up very tentatively in Renaissance down at the bottom. Cam Hardy takes off a useful £5. He's getting a bit of abuse tonight on Twitter actually, which is undeservedly so. I think punters talking through their pockets, but he's a fantastic jockey, fantastic value for his £5 claim. But there's another reason. Stepped up to 7 furlongs on handicap debut is Renaissance today, and he's been running at 5, but on good firm ground and Lingfield, their polytrack there, which rides fairly fast usually. He's a Dutch Art as well, who, as you know, Dutch Art is probably my favourite sire going at the moment, and the likes of Slade Baron Garswood promoting him currently. But Dutch Art's got a lot better on softer ground, and this is the first time he's going to encounter ground much on the slower side today. So if he has got any ability, of course he's got ability, but if he's a decent horse, then 70 is going to be a very low mark, especially 65 with Cam Hardy taking the 5 off. So I'll give a chance to Renaissance at 11-1, and we're already getting the complaints in about Michael's sound. We've had 2. One of them from Pigeon, of course. he was odds on to be the first to complain. No offence to Pigeon. Move on to the 205 at Newbury. We'll see how Michael's sound is for this one. The Washington Senior Stakes. Only 4 to go through here. Now, Adam, you actually wanted to be the first one to talk on this one, didn't you? Because you didn't want Callan to steal your point.
I'll let Callum go first. If he does steal my point, I won't be very happy.
No, go on. I don't know what my point is, so...
Well, basically, it's that my fantasy's Hawkesbury, and I'm surprised I'm not surprised he's coming for a lot of money, but my point was, his breeding for me is just sensational. He's the French Guineas winner, and the Dam is a Falmouth winner, and the sire of that was a French Guineas winner as well. So for me, it's brilliant pedigree, and his Doncaster win was really impressive. I don't have an issue with him going on softer ground. I don't think Newbury's ground was that bad today. I think he's also a horse for next year as well, and I could easily see him making it into a Guineas contender. It'd be Hawkesbury for me, although Bellardo is hugely respected in this race. I think it's between them two, and they're both really good colts, but I think Hawkesbury's got the upper edge.
Yeah, we'll mix it up a bit this time around. Callum, you can go next. Alan.
Oh, sorry. You kind of cut out there, so sorry. Yeah, the internet's not great. My hearing's dreadful. Yeah, it's a bit of a traffy race. Not probably the best of. Well, it's a good field actually in terms of quality, just not in terms of quantity. And the two the head of the market are pretty good horses. I like Bellardo a lot, and I like Hawkesbury a lot. I bumped into Lamato on debut, horse that, well, possibly I'd say the two I'd have been impressed with the most this season. And he absolutely bolted up at Doncaster last time out. I just think Hawkesbury's got the advantage tomorrow because I think he'll be better suited by a slowly run race, which I think this almost certainly will be. And I think Bellardo will be seen better on better ground, and also when he chases a strong pace. Carry On Derek as well as a similar horse. I thought he did quite well on debut. I know it was pretty weak.
Brilliant name, isn't it?
It's a great. I thought he did pretty well to win that, and he came from the clouds. And I didn't really think there was much of a fluke about that. But again, he's got to step up against 2 pretty impressive 2-year-olds. Tomorrow, I think Hawkesbury's got the advantage, but it's the race I'm going to watch.
You may as well mention Diaz since you got the other 3 down.
Yeah, Diaz will set the pace and finish last. If that wins now, oh my god.
It will be Diaz beats Carry On Derek, Bellardo and Hawkesbury. Just to rob it.
He was only beaten 4 lengths by next year's Guineas winner last time out.
Fair enough. Underwater Michael.
I thought it was South Korean. North Korean Michael.
You're migrating everywhere. I'm not gonna lie.
No, this is not my kind of race whatsoever. I think the market's got it right, but it's pretty boring. And can we have a handicap now, please?
I got that actually. I understood that.
Probably the shortest Michael's ever done.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to go for Hawkesbury because I think Hawkesbury's going to win, but part of me wants to go for Bellardo just to be different. And if Bellardo does win, I can rub it into you guys. I mean, Bellardo's form last time, that's probably I want to say best going behind Ivorwood, who's now in the Racing Post Trophy, I believe. It says good to firm in that description. It wasn't good to firm at all. It was a bit on the softer side. Hawkesbury, though, looks open to any amount of improvement, as does Bellardo, in fairness, but yeah, I'm going to have to side with Hawkesbury. I can't really add too much more on top of Callum and Adam said about it, and I think I've managed to keep it longer than Michael's, but yeah, Hawkesbury for me. Next up, we have a grey race, which I'm sure Michael will love as well, a grey handicap. Now, the grey number 5's got a decent chance in this, so I'm interested to see how many of us are tipping up the grey number 5, starting with Michael.
This is a more interesting race for me than the other two races so far. If I can find my notes, I can start talking about them. A lot of horses I actually really like in here. You've got Baby Strange, I've been a massive fan of since I was younger, even before I really got into that racing. And also Light from Mars on the top, and another one, and also Kruger, obviously. But Kruger and Light from Mars finished first and second in this last year. And I think Kruger has been laid out for this again. I think Syrian Pearl is definitely worth favoritism. Will appreciate a second finish this time the same distance that she was beaten over last time out. So it's really difficult, but I do think grade number 5 could be worth it tomorrow.
Got the grade number 5. You can just about tell when Michael stops speaking when the bumbling stops. I don't know what it is with your microphone this week, buddy.
It happened before the one we were going to do for Goodwood, because he was meant to sit in your room.
Yeah, it was.
The plan you had, yeah, that then ended out in being the Exorcist. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll get through it maybe. But I'd advise buying a new microphone next week, Mikey. Callum, your fancy for the grey race?
The 2 3-year-olds that are near the head of the market, Syrian Pearl and Lady Horatia, I think look better handicapped than most of them. It seems a bit of a plot race this now. I mean, obviously this is the only race for greys, and practice it's probably quite easy to win because there's so many limited amount of horses that can run in it. And the 2 3 I think have probably been plotted out for this. Chris Wall is in unbelievable form at the moment. I think he had another winner today. Just whether the Syria Pearl goes on the ground, and Lady Horatia's got form on softer ground, including a third to kickboxer, and that's pretty strong form at Leicester. Since then, run some pretty good races against fairly decent sprinters, and this is easier, and I think she'll go quite close.
Yeah, Adam, we haven't heard from you about this race, have we?
No. I can agree with Callum and see where he's coming from, but I've gone with last year's winner, Crew Cut, who has actually not been running that badly this year. I mean, he was 7th at Epsom behind Ash Pantamo, only beaten less than 5 lengths, and was also 6th to the Stewards Cup winner. Sorry, 32 Red Cup winner Intrinsic at Goodwood a couple of starts ago. I just think he's one that has just been laid out again for this, and I can see him winning the race again. So it would be Crew Cut for me.
Yeah, I'm actually disappointed that I'm going to be agreeing with Adam on this one. Acclamations, they can go on the ground. They don't particularly want it too soft. I was doing a lot of research earlier on for Shara in the first race, and Newbury, I think it was, yeah, sorry. And they go on soft, but they probably wouldn't want it as bottomless as it was at Newbury today. So Crew Cut would be the one for me. Just, I think it would have been mapped out from since winning last year, and I also backed it last year as well. So hoping to go the double with it. Now into the good racing today. I think we can start the Group 3 Jeffrey Freer Stakes, the 240 at Newbury. It's competitive and wide open. Whether it's the highest class race in the world, that remains to be seen. But I wouldn't have expected Heather's Moon to be running in this kind of race at the start of the year. I know Callum also held him in very high regard. Sorry. You sticking with Heather's Moon tomorrow, Callum?
No, I think he's a well, easy to oppose on that ground. He won't go a yard on that ground. He needs it like a
I
road,
can't see him
ideally.
running if I'm honest.
No, I can't. I think the blinkers are a right move, and the step up and trip slightly is exactly where you want to go with him. But and I think he's the best horse in the race, but just not on that ground tomorrow. I think it says a lot that Seal of Approval is favourite because she ran such a bad race last time out at Haydock. She was beating a mile in the Lancashire Oaks, and she just never looked interested whatsoever in the race. I know before then she's got some really good form. She's obviously a winner on Champions Day and a fourth to Gospel Choir strong form in the Yorkshire Cup. And if she returns that form, then she's respected and she should go on the ground. But I wouldn't be having her at all as favourite. Red Cadeau, I think, is pretty solid. Second in the race last year. Actually got some pretty decent form on softer ground, and he hasn't run it for a while, and he does go on everything. And if you look at his form figures looking on softer ground, they're actually pretty respectable. So if he's fit and ready, and I don't see anything of Royal Empire's standard in this race, and that's not really saying much because Royal Empire isn't the best of horses, then I think he could go really well tomorrow. Willing Foe hadn't been seen since winning at Newbury last May, so that's quite hard to, well, a lot to take on trust. Somewhat maybe the 3-year-old maybe got a chance, just will plug on from the front. But Red Cadeau, I think, is pretty solid in what's a really average race.
When was the last time Red Cadeau won in England?
Yeah, that's a good point. To be fair though, I mean, his best run was in this race last year.
Yeah, no, it wasn't taking anything away from him. Like he's been
No.
fantastic everywhere he went. I can't remember the last time he
Yorkshire
won.
Cup in 2012. He
When
got
did
his
he-
diamond. Yeah.
I'd have almost expected it to be further back.
To be fair, he's only won once since then, just so happened to be a Hong Kong Vase.
This rubbish race. Adam, your fancy for the Geoffrey Free?
Well, like Callum, I wanted to be taken on Heather's Moon, and the one that I've actually bumped with is I've actually gone for Seismos, who has been running well lately. I mean, he ran really well at Sandown 2 starts ago, and he was the only runner to actually have a go on the far side behind Brown Panther. And then he went to France last time out and ran okay behind Tarubi, and Tarubi's been sold to go and race in Australia. He was an ex-French horse, and now goes to Australia. And I just think that on this softer ground here, I mean, it was really soft in Longchamp, but I think the softer ground here, and at 12-1, I think there's a bit of value in this race. Just another point, I'm surprised Callum didn't mention Cafe Society. Sorry, Michael. If you can read what he's put up, he hates me because I think I've just taken the selection. So, sorry.
Michael's going for triumphant. Solid Camelot form right there.
Oh, God.
For me, I'm actually going against what Callum said. I'm actually going for Seal of Approval today. I think the ground is absolutely fine. George Baker's 2-2 on her, and I take completely on what Callum said last time. Was never travelling a yard. How Hayley Turner got any abuse for that ride, I do not know. The horse was never travelling at all. Stamina is in abundance today. I think it's one of the few that will go on the ground, along with Camborne, who's horrifically out of form. The one worry I'd have about Seal of Approval is last year, obviously, she had that horrible fall that injured Hayley Turner and then came back and won on Champions Day. But when trapped in sort of a pocket, didn't really have any confidence to go anywhere. When it opened up, she sort of took her a while, then she got out into the clear, then she went. So with horses around her, she may still have a few reservations and not have the most confidence, which is understandable after the incident that she had. But I imagine George Baker will be quite wary of that. So I'd hope to see Seal of Approval coming down the outside and a lot more prominent than she was at Haydock last time. But I'm hoping that the break of 42 days has sorted out whatever was wrong with her at Haydock. Other than that, I completely take on board what Callum said about Red Cadeau. This isn't really the best race or the best Group 3 anyway that you've ever seen in your life, and Red Cadeau is probably by far and away the best horse in it. But I'm willing.
Can I make another quick point about Red Cadeau
Yeah.
that I noticed? Last year he had a Group 1 penalty for this, so he was giving away to the whole field, and he doesn't this year.
That's interesting.
What was that at the end? Was that a massive from Callum?
No, it was
No.
me.
Oh, was it you?
Who is that?
Callum sort of sat back going like that, and you did the
Yeah.
noise simultaneously.
I'm tempting myself into a bet kind of face.
Yeah. I mean, just like Callum was really proud that he'd found another point. It was like, North Korean Michael.
He's wrote down his comments in the side. He said, I'll read him out for him. Sorry, Michael. Not a good race. Red Caddo will run well, but probably £10 above what he will run. £10 below, I think you meant to say, where he'll run abroad. Yep. Camborne has no excuses here, but I really think Seismic is the one to be with. The only worry is the distance. Prefer it to be a mile and a half, but ground isn't a problem, and in his opinion, it's a weak race.
Yeah, I think in a lot of people's opinion, it's a very weak race. Moving on to the next, the 255 at Newmarket. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Michael's selection would be Susie's Connoisseur.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
So many horses I like in this race.
Michael, shout your selections.
No.
He's typing quickly.
Okay, right, he's typing. Adam, we'll come to you so you can talk about this race first.
I actually quite like Susie's Connoisseur as well. Sorry, Michael. She ran well a couple of weeks ago here at Newmarket on the July meeting when she was 50 deed not words, and then ran even better then back on good to firm ground behind fast track. The ground for me isn't an issue, and I think he'll run really well. And Hugo Palmer's in good form at the minute as well, so Susie's Connoisseur for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to join you on Susie's Connoisseur. Actually, he completely flopped the start 2 outings ago, but I think posted the fastest furlong of the whole day. I think that might have been on July Cup Day actually as well, in the second furlong to catch up with the field, and then finished a more than respectable fifth, running a decent race last time out to come third. And I think it's just improving. Cheapy's first time from the Hugo Palmer yard. I think that's a fairly shrewd move, and Noel Garbett takes 5 off. Noel Garbett's a more than capable rider. I was going to give Penny Drops a shout as well, but the price has completely gone on that. I don't think 10 to 3 is much of a price at all. I mean, if she goes on the ground, we know that. So, I don't know, it would be more of a safer option, but I wouldn't be taking her at that price. So for me, Susie's Connoisseur is the one to be with. Adam, we'll come to you now. Is it going to be a clean sweep for Susie's Connoisseur?
I do like Susie Connoisseur. I think she's got a very, very good chance. Like you said, she totally flopped the start over 6 on softer ground at Newmarket in a pretty valuable handicap and finished really well last time behind Fast Track. And I'm going to go for a stablemate at Fast Track instead of with Boy in the Bar, who is a relatively progressive horse, and he just keeps finding more and more. And he's started handicaps of 75. He's now off 90, but he bumped into one. Well, I think he bumped into one in Compton Park last time out, who has won since and runs at Ripon tomorrow as well. And I'll probably mention him later anyway. And I think that's really, really strong form. Boy in the Bar actually tanked into the race. David Barron just seems to find these bits of improvement with these sort of 3-year-olds, and I've got hope, or enough hope, that he'll go okay on the ground. I mean, he was beaten on heavy ground, but he's won his maiden on soft. So there's enough hope he's going to get it. And there's horses like Eastern Impact, who I think wants fast ground. Penny Drops will enjoy the ground, but will she find one a little too good? Yeah. And she's quite short. Susie Connoisseur, I think, is pretty solid, but I'm going to go for Boy in the Bar.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Susie's Connoisseur solid unless she completely cocks up the start again.
Yeah.
Adam, has Michael sent his notes now?
Yep, he's wrote his notes. Lots of favourites here.
I love how Michael's stayed here with his notes. He's just sort of staying on camera, like focusing on his best aspect, which apparently is his looks. He's muted himself now, so we can take the mick out of him.
Well, he could just type a few.
That was Sean pose right there. Sorry to interrupt you, Adam.
His comments are okay. Lots of favourites here, including Kickboxer and Flying Bear. Susie should have won 2 starts ago, but broke awfully. Expect him to run really well here. Eastern Impact's another good horse who I like. Flying Bear won't like the ground, but Kickboxer will. And I think the horses that carry the most weight are the most likely winners. The selection is Susie. I think
Kickboxer would like any ground. Kickboxer is just such an honest horse that he runs his heart out every single time.
Yeah, he goes well on soft anyway. And
yeah,
I was a little disappointed how poorly he ran when he ran here in that Susie Connoisseur race actually at Newmarket. So I think I backed him that day, and he was just a little bit disappointing.
Actually, yeah, you were quite on him, weren't you, that day?
Yeah.
He napped that day as well.
I don't think I napped him.
Actually, it does ring a bell.
Probably did.
I'm going to win phrases of you now. Moving on to the 3:15 Newbury. Pastoral Player takes a big step down in class today and benefits from the £7 claim of Charlie Bennett. Has been running in the likes of Victoria Cups and running okay. The form figures very, very abysmal beside his name, but maybe even running a little bit better than that. But you're keen on Foxtrot Romeo, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back a couple of years, he was second in Irish 2000 Guineas, but the reason I've gone with him is because he's been running well over 7 furlongs, and then last time I'm willing to forgive because he was last behind Muffmere over 6. But before that, he was third behind Almago, who runs in a handicap at Chester, which is actually more valuable than every race apart from the Hungerford on Channel 4. So I'm surprised it's not on there. And he was also second to Alejandro as well. I just think that this may have found a winning opportunity at last for him. So it'd be Foxtrot Romeo for me.
Yeah, I somewhat agree with you with Foxtrot Romeo, actually. Looking back through it, I think the last race you can just forget about it. Is nothing really went right. It's back down to 6 furlongs and really, really strongly run 6 at that as well. Before that, the form behind Almago, as you said, is absolutely fantastic. Almago was really impressive that day. So for me, it would be Foxtrot Romeo. Of the others, there's not much to get excited about. I would have given Redvers a chance, but he's in a runner now, so that's mildly annoying. See, the Storm's been in fantastic form as of late, but well, I don't know. It's not really a race that I'd get involved in. I'm sure Callum's shocked that I haven't gone for Pastoral Player.
I was not.
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. I have followed Pastoral Player off a proverbial cliff for quite a while, though.
I hate proverbial cliff so much.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, talking about proverbial cliffs, and talking about Foxtrot Romeo, he is a cliff horse of mine. I mean, he hasn't won since a 2-year-old. He hasn't won a race since, and that puts me off. And I just think, I mean, he came to win his race against Alejandro at York. He came to win his race against Almago. I know that form has been boosted by both of them, but I just don't think he really is up to winning now, to be honest.
That's fair enough. Who are you going for in the race then?
Well, it's a dreadful race. I'm going to say it's a really poor race.
Was that you trying to putting up a selection?
No, I actually have got a selection, and the reason I'm going for Farlow because he's a really consistent horse who always runs his race. Apart from last time where he ran a shocker, and the ground went really bad at first. It went from about good to firm to about heavy in the space of an hour and a half, and I just think maybe he didn't really want the really bottomless ground that it turned out to be. But he's got the hood on this time. That could eke out a few pounds of improvement. Richard Hughes on as well, which I think is a really positive booking. And in a race where I think the rest of them are pretty average or very average, Farlow, I just think could just beat them because he's the most consistent horse. And soft ground, 7 furlongs, and with slightly drying ground, I think would be absolutely ideal for him. So, yeah, I'm going for Farlow. 6-1. I think it's a great price.
Yeah, and I assume Michael sent his notes and gone for Foxtrot Romeo as well?
He says he tipped it up last time. Okay, poor race. I tipped up Foxtrot Romeo last time on here. Everyone thought I was silly. Oh, Redford's a non-runner because he only wins on good to firm you Wally, Luke. Diva Storm actually won 3 in a row now. Won charity race at Dublin and think he's at least in form and could win this.
I thought Redford's went on softer ground.
Yeah, I thought he did as well.
Also, just at the moment, I've got price-wise up. Me and Michael aren't going to be pleased. He's gone for Seismos in the Jeffrey Freer. And he's gone for best trip in the consolation race of the Great St Welford. And the race we're about to go on to, he's gone for Majestic Moon and Kimberella.
All his wins have been on good or firmer actually, but he has run well on good to soft.
Yeah, so I was going to say I seem to remember him going well on softer ground at Ascot, I think it was.
Yeah, he's finished 5th. Well, he finishes 5th in every Ascot handicap.
That's fair. He always runs his race.
Always thereabouts, isn't he?
Yeah. Moving on now to the Great St Wilfrid, the 3:30 at Ripon, completely wide open affair. I think Baccarat won this last year. Obviously won the Wokingham since, and Pepper Lane won this 2 years on the bounce. Usually the draw favours the higher drawn one, so I'm going for a horse drawn in stall 1, of course, but we'll get to that a bit later on. Callum, you're fancying the Great St Wilfrid?
Yeah, I'm not particularly sure about the draw. I mean, like you said, high numbers are usually favoured, but especially when there's been a bit of rain about. But it's less of a problem now, I'd say, and I wouldn't necessarily, because of a draw, I wouldn't necessarily put you off if you fancied it. Two that stood out to me. I think there's not many really progressive sorts in this, I don't think. I mean, there's horses like Kimberella, Spinatrix and Outdo that I think are pretty much where they are handicapped to where they have the ability to do so. And I don't think they've necessarily got much of improvement in them. And probably the same for Another Wise Kid as well. And the form with Piper's Note is pretty solid, but this is a tougher race. The two that stood out to me, firstly, Tatlisu, who is running some really good races in probably stronger events, beat Muthmere at Newcastle. Muthmere was probably unlucky definitely was unlucky that day and should have won. But Muthmere has obviously gone on and franked the form considerably. Finished behind Blaine at Hamilton, which again I think was a good race, and then third at Goodwood on a track I didn't really think that suited his sort of style because he's quite a big horse, and I think Ripon would be more to his liking. I think he's versatile regarding ground, and he just reminds me, like you said with Baccarat, he just seems like a Richard Fahey horse that's climbing up the handicap ranks and potentially be a little bit better in time. So I think 11-1 on him is fair, and I like Fairway to Heaven as well, who is a horse I've liked for quite a while. Run two poor races, first and second time out this year, but there's excuses for both. And then absolutely, one time out, and I think was meant to go to the Sales after that, but obviously stays with the same connections now. But just came from an absolute mile back on the rail and led in the last strides from another, again, a decent horse in Gamesome, who I think you quite like, Luke, don't you, Gamesome?
Yeah.
And I rate Gamesome as well, and I think Fairway to Heaven is actually perfectly suited to tomorrow if he's in the same sort of form. And off 96, I think he can make some damage. And bar that, I think some pretty modest horses in this for a Great St Wilfred. So they're two clear standouts for me: Tatlisu and Fairway to Heaven.
Yeah, I couldn't put you off Tatlisu right at the bottom of the weights. No, Dave Arthur's got a share in him. Was absolutely delighted that they've literally just squeaked in at the bottom of 92. Adam, your fancy for the Great St Wilfred?
I agree with Callum again on Tatlisu. He's been running really consistently of late. Was third last time out to Barnet Fair in the consolation race with the 32 red consolation race. Before that, was second to Blaine at Hamilton and beat Muthmere the time before that. I just think it's really solid form. And the main danger for me is actually Spinatrix, but she'll need a bit of rain. And I've just been on Twitter. Sportmad Twits and got in touch. He said he can give us an answer for the Wilfred, and he said Spinatrix countless times, and then he's hoping that the dark clouds above his house are going to burst and there'll be plenty of rain for her. So I think for me it's Tatlisu, and I think Spinatrix, if it rains, will be the main danger. And Michael,
this is absolute nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I've just seen, Jennifer Lawrence, big actress. Beautiful, funny, perfect woman. She's dating Christopher Martin from Coldplay.
Yeah, that's not unbelievable.
Celebrity gossip on Under the Hoof.
He can do better than that.
It's a new feature.
He can do better than that.
We'll work it.
Adam's single. Why could she not have Adam?
Oh, thanks, Luke.
We know
Michael sent us his notes. Spinatrix loves Ripon and could return to form here. I agree with that. Tatlisu looks progressive and sneaks in down the bottom. Plenty of lovely handicappers in here that I can't waffle on about, sad face. But think those two to tackle this. So he basically agrees with me. Oh, that's not good. Flyman would be the one I'd throw into. Confessional is going to, peak soon, but I don't think it's today. Yeah, we all know what he's going for.
What did you say, Peak Sue?
Peak soon.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you said Peak Sue. I was like, running of a 6.
Going to Peak Sue. No, that wouldn't work.
Yeah, well, he mentioned Confessional there, didn't he?
Yeah.
What did he say about Confessional?
He's going to peak soon.
Hopefully it's tomorrow. I think I've tipped up Confessional once on this show before and backed Confessional once in my lifetime, and that was when it won at Haydock.
Yep, I remember that.
But it's, at Glorious Goodwood on Better Racing Nation, I said that I don't think Confessional really wants ground as fast as it was at Goodwood anyway. And ground on the softer side, I think, will benefit him much more. But down to a mark of 92, which is £2 lower than his last winning mark, I think he's still well handicapped. Ground is no worry. 6 furlongs wouldn't worry me too much. Ran a brilliant race at Goodwood. Again, like I say, on ground, I really don't think he wants. As 7th behind Barnet Fair in the consolation race for the Stewards Cup. And I just think Mike was completely right in saying that he's going to come good very, very soon. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the first 4 tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised to see him win it, in all honesty. But I think the biggest danger is definitely Tatlisu, who ran an absolute blinder last time out. And in fairness, he hasn't run a bad race for a long time now. And just sneaking at the bottom of the handicap, I think you've got to be very, very wary of a Richard Fahey horse that low down. But the last race of the day that we're going to be covering in England anyway is the Betfred Hungerford Stakes, the Group 3, won last year by Gregorian. He's back to defend this crown. Not been confirmed as Sporting Life yet, and I don't think I've been seeing things, but SK Love's a non-runner here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So SK Love's a non-runner, so we've now got 6 in the field. I assume Callum's going to talk about Breton Rock.
Yeah, I like Breton Rock. He's a horse that I said all season that I wouldn't oppose him on 7 furlong on soft ground because I think he's a pretty decent horse in those conditions. But I do think Gregorian has his absolute ideal ground conditions tomorrow. I don't think the horse really wants bottomless ground.
No.
And
Well,
last time at Deauville, it was probably just too soft for him in the Maurice de Guise. And over 7 furlongs to the race he won last year in similar conditions, I think he's got them covered.
Right. An example of Gregorian not wanting bottomless ground at Salisbury in 2012. He got beaten by Shamal Nibra at Salisbury.
Over what trip?
Over 6.
Okay, it was a little short for him then, but yeah.
Well, he should still be beating Shamal Nibra.
Yeah. Yeah. At the time, probably a bit short for him, but yeah, I know I assume you're going to go for Gregorian, Luke, and
I don't know.
You know?
I honestly don't know.
Yes, it's a really the problem with this race. There's no front runner. There is no pace in this race whatsoever. Even Brazos, who likes to be prominent, and Professor as well, but they don't necessarily want to lead in their races, and it could be a really anything could happen in a sort of race. I think if it is going to turn into a sprint, then the horse that'd be most suited by it is probably Chill the Kite, who's actually got a really good turn of foot, but. Again, I mean, he's got some okay form on softer ground, but I think all his best runs have been on fast, and that would be a worry for me tomorrow. Yeah, I think the market's got it spot on, to be honest. Gregorian's my most likely winner, and Breton Rock's most likely second in those conditions tomorrow. So I'm just going to leave it at that and not have a bet.
If Gregorian came here straight from the July Cup, I'd be all over him.
That's a good point.
Same.
He would be a lot shorter, wouldn't he? You'd have to think he'd be a lot shorter.
6-4.
He only ran 6 days ago, though.
Yeah, exactly, and in France as well. So he's had to go over on the boat or train, whatever he went on, come back. That's a 2-day job.
Yeah.
He's had to settle into a new environment. He's had to run in a competitive Group 1. He didn't run his race at all, and now he's out 6 days later. Like, I'm not questioning John Gosden because the guy's an absolute genius, but it just puts you off a little bit, doesn't it? It just puts you on ease. And yeah. Gregorian is one of my favourite flat horses, like no doubt about it. But I don't know, I just couldn't back him tomorrow at all. I'd be cheering him on for sure, but I just couldn't back him after 6 days off after a run in Deauville. If you understand. And I do agree with what Callum said. That Chill the Kite could be benefited most to sort of a sprint basically at the end. He's been in fantastic form. He sort of lost his way in group races, so dropped back to handicap company. Won at Newbury, I think, over course and distance as well. Then ran a fantastic race. It was in the Hunt Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't drawn that well either that day. I thought he ran a really good race that day.
What, the Hunt Cup?
Yeah, he was drawn in the. Everything was. I think it was like. I'm trying to remember the draw. So like, Field of Dream was drawn 29 or 30, and he came in 14.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He had to get across, and then didn't get a clear run. So
yeah, he was most unlucky.
A hell of a race. There were several in that race that were completely unlucky.
There always are, yeah.
Yeah, including your selection that I won't touch.
I don't know. For tomorrow, if you forced me to have a bet, I'd probably have it on Chill the Kite. I just think he's a top class horse. Gregorian's probably a little bit short of that, but remember in the lock-ins that he ran, I think he only found Far and Aljamaahir too good. Obviously, he found Far much too good, but that kind of form again wouldn't be Far at winning this race. And just if he's got back in the right frame of mind by getting his head in front again and really running well in a few races, he could be really dangerous today. I don't think softer ground is too much of an issue for him. As Callum said, he's got form on it. A bit faster ground would have been appreciated. There's not meant to be much rain at Newbury overnight, so I would take Chill the Kite just to beat Gregorian, but I will be cheering on Gregorian, no doubt. It's not really a betting race for me. Adam, are you with Gregorian or without him?
I can't be tomorrow, just because if he hadn't have run in France, I'd be like you. I'd be all over him
He'd
tomorrow.
be the world's biggest certainty if he came straight in.
Exactly. But the thing is, he's been to France. He's had to come back, and as Callum rightly said, he's had to settle in back into the environment. And I just think I'd want to be avoiding him tomorrow. And the one I am going to be going with is Breton Rock, who wants these conditions, and he ran really well last time at Haydock. And I just think that 7 furlong soft ground, he's the one that we know will ideally want these conditions. So I think he's the one to be on. Although, as like the rest, I'm not having a bet in this race. Michael has sent his comments. Gregorian, Chill the Kite, and Breton Rock for a race that's frankly a listed contest, Group 3 at a stretch. I like them all, but think Gregorian will take it to the second year in a row. I'm not reading that word out. The others should not be getting close to the 3 I said. I'm not reading that one out. Chill the Kite was 4th in the Lockins Luke, also beat by Sovereign Debt, I think. And he also won't be having a bet.
Yeah, it was Sovereign Debt, he's right.
Mm.
I think it's a bit harsh to say it's a listed race at best. It's not the worst race.
No, it's. I mean, what you've got, every rival bar, Brazos is rated 112. Plus.
Producer and I think producer ran in the is it Queen Anne?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Ran a decent race there. 7 furlongs is probably going to suit producer.
Yeah, a little flattered though by that Queen.
Yeah,
Anne.
No, yeah.
Considerably flattered by that Queen Anne runner. I think we've seen his level now. It's a pretty decent level, but yeah, it's a crappy race, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very competitive. I'm quite disappointed that SK Love's not turning up, actually.
Yeah, I'd have given him a massive chance.
Yeah, I didn't think the ground was actually that soft in earnest today, and they are moving the rail as well, so there will be fresh
Is it ground? Is it? Are they not running him because of ground?
They said ground.
I mean, he's finished 3rd on soft ground in a 6 furlong Group 2 behind Marek. I know a lot of his form is on. Well, a lot of his runs have been on good goods of firm ground, but look, you've got a 7 furlong Group 2. There's not many in the season, and you won't be finding better races. £56,000 for him to be running in. So I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity if it's on ground.
Yeah, I just mentioned from last season, Gregorian won it. Soft Falling Rain was back in 2nd, and Torhead was 3rd. We wish a happy retirement to Soft Falling Rain, who was today retired and sent to stud. So go get him.
Oh.
I was going to bring the Soft Falling Rain board. I've got a board of
one of Callum's many boards that he's got in his room. We are going to go stateside now, and we're going to take in 2 of the races from America, starting with the Beverly D at 22.54, of course. Just the Judge and Euro Charlene are the European raiders, or the English raiders, in this race. And as Callum mentioned earlier on, Somali Lemonade is one of the best named horses in training. I think that's
awesome name.
Fantastic. And one named after me as well. I'm already sexy.
I got a Snapchat yesterday saying otherwise, so...
He said that?
Sean. Did it describe me? And I was like, no, I don't agree.
Actually, no, I got that. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
For me, it's just a case of how far does Euro Starling want to win this by. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
I would be that confident. But
I can't.
Yeah. She's got a great chance tomorrow. She's really going the right way fast, isn't she? And she looks in need. Well, not in need, but I think she could really appreciate a step up in trip now. And
I would say in need, if I'm honest.
Would you say in need? Yeah, maybe yeah.
Okay, the 1,000 Guineas was not a fast run race at all.
Yeah.
The Coronation Stakes, probably even slower.
Yeah, and she had to make her own running at Ascot last time. So yeah, no, it will definitely suit her.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying. I mean, she's still a good horse over a mile, isn't she? So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. But she's not a front runner. Kiyoshi's boosted that form today. Was 4th in a Group 3 and a good Group 3 at Deauville. I don't want to say the best 3-year-old that we've got over here, Philly, is what, but she's well up there, isn't she?
Yeah, because they're so bad. They are.
I know. Yeah.
Apart from Tagruda, the 3-year-old fillies over a mile in particular are dreadful. They are dreadful. And the Irish one, even the Irish ones aren't that good, but the French are just miles ahead this year.
Yeah. Well, Euro Charlene doesn't
Colts wise, we've got the best by a mile. You know,
yeah,
so yeah.
and that'll be proved on Sunday in the Marwa.
Yeah.
Hopefully, anyway. Adam, are you Team Euro Charlene as well?
Yeah, I am. And I also like to give a mention actually to, you remember the flat preview video we did? Max Banner actually tweeted a thing with Euro Charlene. I think that was just after she'd won at Wolves as well. So, big fair shout that was. I mean, and she was such a
Shout.
celebration. It's a good shout considering how much untapped potential she had then. I think she wins tomorrow. 10 furlongs is ideal, and she's the one to beat.
The annoying thing is that with Max Banner tweet in that end, fantastic shout with Euro Charlene, but she's been expensive to follow. Say that. Oh, I think we all had ludicrous prices about her in the 1,000 guineas.
I
I'm
didn't.
sure Ryan Ferris would agree.
Yeah, Ryan Ferris would definitely agree on that. I don't think he actually backed her last time either.
Oh god.
The one time she won. Has Michael given us any comments for this race, or?
Let me just look. It says, don't have anything to add for US. Oh yeah, he agrees with us, Euro Charlene.
Just the judge we're going to jump in? Her, sorry?
Apparently she's been working really well over there, but I don't know. Interestingly though, both European contenders are not running on Lasix, which I find interesting. I mean, last year remember Dank went over, and she was just transformed by the Lasix, so it's interesting that they're not. I mean, obviously at the moment in America they're trying to stamp Lasix out, so yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's all for the better.
Well, that was the Beverley D. We move on to the Arlington Million now, which is a disappointing turnout. Only 7 runners this year. I think there was 13 or 14 last season because Grandeur was drawn widest of them. Magician is the short price favourite for this. I think that may tell you the quality of this race. I still don't really get how Magician's 124 rated. Like, good horse for sure, but 124 I think flags him a little bit.
Beat the fugue. Beat the fugue.
He's so in and out though.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but
It's hard to make the point, like, because he's run some awful races, but he's run some brilliant races. Most notably when winning the Breeders' Cup.
yeah, he won the Classic, which is an incredible performance, and beating the Fugue, in my opinion, beating the Fugue in conditions that she loved is a horse that should be rated 1, 2, 4. Now, I don't think he's probably not backed that. Well, he definitely hasn't backed that up since. But you've got excuses for most of the runs. The Shima Classic you can just scrap. He scraped home in a Group 3 at the Curragh. Soft ground wasn't to his liking when beat by Noble Mission. He still ran a pretty good race behind the Fugue at Royal Ascot. And last time out, yes, was disappointing over 12. But it's probably I would probably suggest that 12 furlongs round our tracks, especially in a race that was very strongly run, to stretch him. So a return to 10 furlongs over in America, if he doesn't run well tomorrow, then he will never run well. I think it's fair to say.
With all that said, would you be a backer of Magician at what was it, even money-ish?
Yeah, 5 to 4 I've got up here. Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, I like Real Solution. I know you like him as well, but he's a horse that I rate. He was beaten 5 lengths though by Magician in the Breeders' Cup turf, but he won this last year in the Stewards' Room, unfortunately, because I backed the Apache. And he's just a really strong travelling type who has a really good turn of foot for a 10 furlong horse. It's just whether is he going to get the pace that he needs to run his best race, to run to his full potential. I'm not so sure. Magician's probably in a similar camp, and it could be quite a messy race. So, I mean, I'm only going to back Euro Charlene in America tomorrow, I think, but I would like to see Magician win. I don't really know if I can conclusively say he will. And Smoking Sun, I think, is quite interesting. Seen last time behind Dan Excel in the Singapore International Cup, which is pretty strong form, to be honest. So if he can run to that sort of form, then I think he's got a squeak.
Yeah, I am with Real Solution, who, as you said, won it in the Stewards' Room last year, which I think every English person that was watching that race was absolutely outraged by, because there wasn't that much interference from the Apache, but American rules say if you touch another horse during the race, then you're out, which is annoying. Real Solution comes into this race in fantastic form. Won the Manhattan last time out, which was a bit of a muddling race. I think the least said about that, the better. I think Adam is going to know why. Then came second in the Man of War to Imagining, which again is really good form. So comes in form of his life really, but a better sort of set up for it than Magician. I think 4-1 is a fantastic price at Real Solution, and you're not often going to get me tipping up American horses, contrary to what you may have seen at Royal Ascot. But no, Real Solution for me. But I'd taken what Callum says. Euro Charlene might even be my only bet of the day tomorrow. That's how confident I am on her league. Adam, your fancy for the Arlington Million?
It's a race that doesn't inspire me, if I'm quite honest. I mean, obviously Magician's Air sets a good standard, but I'd probably side with Smoking Sun. And I've seen one or two people put this up saying that he needs fast ground, and he should get it over there. So I'm thinking that him at a bit of a price could beat Magician. So he'd be the one for me. It's short and sweet on this race.
Yeah, it's just as well. What are we making of Ryan Moore riding Finnegan's Wake? Sorry. Obviously, he's over there. He's riding some for Aidan O'Brien, most notably Eye of the Storm. But Joseph is coming over to take one ride on Magician.
I don't know.
Do you read much of that?
Well, Joseph has ridden the horse all year, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So
Probably more of a case of Joseph's got nothing better, really, back here. Like, if he can ride a horse of Aidan's, then he will.
Well, I think he's been given the chance to ride it, hasn't he?
Also as well, in the American St Ledger, Ryan Moore takes a ride because it's 8 stone 9, so and Joseph can't make that weight.
Yeah.
So
it's just it could be that Joseph really fancies Magician, so obviously wants to go over here. But then again, even finishing fourth, you get $49,300. So
also interesting, I've just noticed that Ryan Moore has actually been booked to ride Kingston Hill next week in the Voltager.
Really?
Because Andrea Razzani is going to be riding postponed in the race. I've just noticed that. Thanks to Ant for just posting that on Twitter. So yeah, that's an interesting booking.
King's Fate beats them all, doesn't
it? And it winds me up with the fact that James Doyle is still booked on both King's Fate and Snow Sky. So.
Oh my god! If he rides Snow Sky over King's Fate,
I think they'd run one or the other anyway. So King's Fate's still got an attractive handicap mark.
Yeah.
But he wins a ledger.
Wins the ledger, on the road.
On the ride.
Yeah, that would be it for this week. We've got a couple of questions in. We've got Steve Ayres really making a statement. Obviously, Steve Ayres, the stable lad of Border Success. If you don't follow him on Twitter, do it. He's absolutely fantastic value. He says he can't wait until we start the jumps season. Bye, boring flat. Alan King's been doing well this year on the flat.
Yeah, he has actually.
He should be enjoying this.
We've been relatively successful on here, tipping up Alan King horses as well.
Yeah, Chateau's most effectively.
Yeah, probably just Chateau actually.
Yeah, the others have been running well though.
King's Bayonet has been running well.
Bayonet. Who's the other one? There's been a. I can't remember.
Oh, who is it? Oh, First Mohican. Is it First Mohican with Alan King now? Yeah, First Mohican.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been going well.
Oh, Chakala, that's the one, Chakala.
Chakala, yeah. Steve's probably not watching. Shut up, Steve. He wouldn't sit through all the flat malarkey. So Kai Wills has got in touch. Hello, Kai, saying, could you ask the panel what's the safer option between Winter Thunder and Bellardo? The correct answer to that is Euro Charlene.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really split Winter Thunder.
Answer his question.
You're not a politician.
I looked at that Winter Thunder race. I was a little bit unsure whether Winter Thunder would go on the ground. That was my only worry. But if he wins that tomorrow, I think he's a genuine ledger candidate as well, similar to King's Fate. So he's much better than those. But if he doesn't go on the ground, then Fat Sota will win because he's got another handicap in him on soft ground. He ran a cracker the other week.
Yeah. So between the two, Winter Thunder or Bellardo?
Well, I fancy
Bellardo. No, I fancy Hawkesbury. Fancy neither. Sorry, Kai.
Yeah, exactly. It's the kind of question like he's put 2 forward, and I don't really fancy either of them. Bellardo more likely out of the two, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I'd agree.
Euro Charlene, yeah. Adam, out of them two?
Neither.
Neither.
I got one from Pigeon Island who said that Fast Shot should like the ground in the Great St Wilfrid at 20-1, so it's an interesting one.
One at Ripon this year as well, so...
Yeah. Just looking as well. I haven't got any more questions. There's one more race I think we should talk about, and it's the Malwa, where our favourite 3-year-old runs. Well, I say our favourite, but I think most people love this 3-year-old. So, yeah.
I think it's everyone's sort of favourite 3-year-old at the moment. But yeah, Kingman should win that. You'd be disappointed if not.
If he doesn't line up, then Olympic Glory should. So.
It's nap time, and Michael's not able to do a naughty luck 15 this week, is he?
He is. He was typing it out. Oh, he's written it.
He's actually typed it out.
And he's colour. No, he's not. He's written it. Homecomings, Brazos, Waffle, Forbidden Love. Oh, fair enough. He's colour coded it as well. I'm impressed.
Yes, and I think he's actually done it in colours because Brazos has that. Waffle's got the Green Cross of Lorraine. I can't say much about the other two, but.
Yeah.
There was one I think the one that Michael missed out of his naughty luck 15, I think, and it was in the 6 o'clock at Doncaster. Yeah, the 6 o'clock at Doncaster. It was
on the
bear with
Hoof.
me on this. Huh?
On the Hoof. Do you remember?
Okay, it wasn't 6 o'clock at Doncaster, but on our horse on the Hoof is running that we're in no way affiliated with. But there was a horse running called Ribblehead, and that just sounds like a name for an implement that a woman would use. Sort of a utensil. There we go, Michael. Michael's got it now. I was expecting that one to be on there. I'm not gonna lie. But I can't remember where it's running, so you have to find that yourself, Michael. I'm afraid. But nap time, Callum. Your nap for tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to nap in a massive 20-runner handicap, but the Silver Trophy, the Great St Wilford Consolation, the favourite, Compton Park. I really like this horse. He's won twice now. Beats Boyle in the Bar. I've also tipped up tomorrow at Pontefract. Absolutely cruised into the race, and he was valued for a good bit further. And Boyle in the Bar is a horse I really rate, but he actually bolted up last time at Haydock and just travelled like a dream. And he's been racing in Italy, and he's just come over now, and his last 2 wins strongly suggest that he's got another one in him off 90. And I was a little disappointed he wasn't actually in the main race, because he probably would have been my fancy for that as well. But against some pretty average horses, I think Compton Park will win quite nicely. At 11-2, I think it's worth taking, actually.
The Compton Park for Callum. Adam, your lay of the day?
Oh, shut up. I'm going to go for Crew Cut in the Grey Horse Handicap. And
That's brave.
I've got Michael's here. Pantsower and Renew, Wet My Whistle tomorrow. Pantsower should win, is like 3-1 against Trees. Hopefully gets an easy lead and bolts up. Renew has a Caulfield Cup entry and is a big price over this distance. Which one? Is that a double or a... He doesn't type, but just... Double? We'll go with a double, he can't really reply.
This has been a massive annoyance.
Yeah, go on. It's a double.
A double, right. That's brave. My nap, if you haven't already guessed, is going to be Euro Charlene and the Beverly D at Arlington at night time, whatever. You guys going racing anywhere this week?
No.
York in the week.
You go.
Three of us are, aren't we?
York in the week.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to Leeds, but not to York. But I am having a nice weekend with... She's not watching this, so I can't even earn boyfriend points for this. The lovely Becca Matthews. I'll make her watch it later. We're going to a hotel spa.
Woo!
In which she's getting all the spa. She's getting all the spa treatment, and I'm going to be watching Channel 4 racing. So.
And now all our viewers have left.
Yeah. We don't have viewers anyway. No one watches this. This is
all our viewer.
Yeah. Just before we go, Michael has just made one more point. No Dutch art dealer, Luke.
I just can't do it anymore. Like, I like the horse. He can win tomorrow, I think. I don't know. I like the
Where's
horse.
he running?
Newmarket, isn't it?
Yeah.
He just always seems to find one too good, which is getting annoying now. I still think he's got all the ability in the world, but I just question him at the moment anyway. I think it's the 4:30. Yeah, the 4:30. Luke Morris takes the ride for Paul Cole. It's probably a race that he should be winning, really. If I had to dip in the race, I would obviously go for him, but I don't know. I just can't really do it for much longer. You can only have a cliff horse for so long, but tomorrow I think I'm going to let him go, maybe. But that's all that we've got for this week, unless you guys have got anything else you'd like to add.
No, can't
just mention next week, and yeah, we're done.
Yeah, next week we're doing all of York, and it's a good personal milestone for On the Other Hoof. next week in the first video that we're going to be doing for York. So tune in there for something not really special. It's just going to be the same video over again, this thing. But from everyone here on the other hoof, thank you very much for joining us this week. And thank you for sticking it out, because it's been a really long video. But we'll see you next week for York. Until then, goodbye.